People are genuinely baffled by what has just unfolded, unable to pinpoint how you managed it. Yet your name is on everyone's lips. Simply by being present, moving as you do, and stepping into this version of yourself, you have created an undeniable air of intrigue. That is the natural effect of an exceptional individual who operates on a level most fail to comprehend. You turn into an unsolved puzzle that lingeringly occupies their thoughts. That puzzle reverberates through every room you enter, every discussion held in your absence, and inside the minds of those attempting to decode your success. Here is the real story. You took action without fully anticipating just how profound the impact would be. You were simply focusing on your personal journey, trusting your instincts, and in doing so, you tapped into something extraordinary that caught everyone's attention. This isn't a surface-level passing interest from the people around you. It has genuinely shaken them, as your achievements have completely shattered their conventional understanding of what is possible. Let's examine the reality of your path. You have gone through a profound phase of isolation. It wasn't born out of sadness or a desperate need for connection. It was a deliberate choice to pull back because an inner calling demanded it. You honored that calling. You sat in quiet reflection in a way few ever dare to, observing your habits and confronting your reality without turning away, engaging in a deep level of self-examination that would overwhelm most. While you were quietly doing this inner work, the environment around you began to shift noticeably. Indeed, there was a change in the air. People couldn't define or pin it down, but the shift was palpable, leaving them eager to understand your process. The reality is, they assume you relied on some clever scheme. They assume you stumbled upon a shortcut or a hidden advantage that remains out of their reach. In their eyes, breaking ground the way you have only happens through cutting corners, unfair leverage, or secret knowledge. It's almost amusing, truly, and in a sense their logic holds a grain of truth. You do possess an insight they lack. However, it isn't a shortcut, a spell, or something acquired from an online mentor. It is wisdom forged by sitting with yourself and enduring the process. Consider the sheer weight of what you've carried. You navigated times when others completely misunderstood you, viewing you through their own distorted perspectives and flawed judgments that had zero relevance to who you actually are. Absolutely none. Initially, you likely internalized their opinions, assuming something was inherently wrong with you, and that their harsh views defined your identity. That is a common human experience. We seek validation from those around us, and when they offer a warped image, we tend to adopt it as our truth. Yet stepped-back isolation changes that dynamic, offering a break from external noise and social pressure. It grants you the space to see yourself clearly, independent of outside opinions. You are forced to accept your authentic self rather than the narrative others assigned to you. In doing so, the contrast becomes obvious, revealing that their project version of you was entirely disconnected from your true essence. You have been processing deep personal experiences, turning obstacles into stepping stones. You took your hardships, setbacks, and heartbreaks, and rather than letting them break your spirit, you converted them into fuel. You transformed your struggle into strength, not as a cliché motivational phrase, but through genuine effort. You endured the trials and emerged refined by the experience. Meanwhile, those who thought they had you figured out, who viewed you as limited or incapable of growth, are standing by in utter disbelief at your evolution. They simply cannot wrap their minds around it. Honestly, how could they? You are functioning on a wavelength they cannot reach. You feel no need to broadcast your plans. You simply execute them. In a culture obsessed with constant oversharing and self-justification, your quiet action speaks volumes. By keeping your strategy private, you've created a captivating mystery, driving people to rationalize what they cannot grasp. They are trying to figure out how you saw what was coming, because ultimately, you caught on to something essential. You identified a truth that eluded everyone else. Certain individuals in your circle were merely pretending to support you, masking their true intentions while attempting to manipulate your path unnoticed. But you saw right through their intentions. You chose not to create a scene or publicly call them out. You simply stepped away. In that quiet space, clarity revealed everything, and now they realize you are fully aware. That realization deeply unsettles them. It leaves them searching for answers because your quiet shift leaves no room for counter-arguments. They cannot debate it or manipulate you out of what you know to be true. You retreated, completed the internal work, and returned with an unshakable sense of self. To be completely transparent, this internal growth is far from glamorous. It doesn't translate into viral social media posts. It is raw and challenging. It means sitting with uncomfortable truths when you want to avoid them, processing buried emotions, facing your reflection honestly, and confronting painful realities head-on. You stepped up and did that work. Those who are genuinely observant can sense the profound change in your presence, which makes them uneasy. Some people held on to you strictly out of self-interest, relying on what you provided rather than genuine care. They sought your energy, financial help, attention, or validation, needing you to remain predictable and constrained. Instead, you outgrew those boundaries completely, becoming entirely beyond their influence. Losing control over someone they once relied upon triggers deep anxiety. Those who depended on your resources now find themselves cut off, wondering how you managed to sever the connection. Here is what really transpired. You did more than just distance yourself or set basic boundaries. You evolved so fundamentally that you are now completely out of their reach. It is as if you changed access completely, moving to a level they cannot track. You operate on a frequency they lack the capacity to tune into, leaving them entirely bewildered by your transformation. This is where the magic lies. You aren't just shielding yourself from negativity. Your energy naturally filters it out. As you heal and process your own past, there is no room left for others to project their issues onto you. That is what is causing such a stir. The very people who once manipulated your feelings or pushed your buttons now find themselves completely powerless. Pardon the phrasing, but their tactics no longer work. They attempt to trigger old reactions that simply no longer exist, leaving them utterly confused. Let's address an uncomfortable truth. Certain individuals felt superior to you, convinced you would remain stagnant indefinitely. They had a stake in your struggles, not necessarily out of malice, but because your difficulties validated their narrow worldview. It reassured them that people remain fixed, that growth is impossible, and that one must simply accept life's hardships. By thriving, you are actively disproving that mindset. You are showing just how mistaken they were. People naturally resist being proven wrong. Consequently, Rumors circulate as they search for alternative explanations for your growth. They manufacture stories, assuming you had hidden help, special connections, or secret tactics. They will accept any narrative that avoids the obvious truth. You put in the work yourself. You achieved this through your own strength, navigating your personal battles, converting your pain into purpose, all without needing external permission. That self-reliance sets you apart and keeps them guessing, because most people break under the pressure you faced. They yield to bitterness and direct their frustration outward. You took the opposite path. You grew stronger and more authentic, stepping into undeniable personal authority. It defies their expectations because they've never witnessed such resilience up close in someone they thought they understood. Consider the subtle power your presence now carries. When you enter a room, speak, or offer a perspective, it holds genuine weight. Not an overbearing weight, but a grounded sense of real substance. People recognize they are interacting with someone who has endured trials and emerged stronger. That changes the dynamic, as many are merely putting on a front. Most remain stuck in their unresolved issues without doing the internal work. Encountering your progress acts as a mirror to their own lack of movement, revealing what is actually attainable. Naturally, that feels uncomfortable. As a result, some may try to drag you back down to their level. They prefer you confused, searching, and lost alongside them because your peace feels like a challenge to their choices. Your grounded nature highlights their compromises, which they find difficult to accept. So, they attempt to throw you off balance and make you doubt your path. However, individuals who have done the deep inner work don't break easily. They maintain their stability. You might push them, but they quickly regain their composure. You can try to confuse them, but they regain clarity instantly. Attempts to make them feel small fail because they already know their self-worth. You have reached a point where you can no longer be manipulated, not out of pride or thinking you have all the answers, but because experience has taught you better. Having navigated deception and manipulation, you now recognize it immediately. You have built deep trust in your intuition, recognizing that it brought you safely to this point. The internal compass that others dismissed as broken proved to be your most reliable guide, and you follow it faithfully. Acknowledging the cost is essential, as transformation requires real sacrifice. You have paid that price through lost connections, stepping away from people you cared about, facing disapproval, and enduring misunderstandings. You stood alone when support was nowhere to be found, consistently making the difficult choice over the easy path of staying comfortable. Crucially, you did this without seeking validation or praise. You simply did what was necessary. Now onlookers want to know your secret to success. They look for a shortcut, failing to realize there isn't one. The process itself is the secret. The willingness to face pain, the choices made in isolation, the quiet nights when you pushed forward despite feeling broken, and the refusal to give up. Speaking directly to where you are right now, you might be feeling the weight of this isolation. The journey can feel lonely, as if you are walking it entirely on your own, and in many ways, you are. Yet that isn't a failure. It is a mark of resilience. While many are called to grow, few choose to endure the demands of real personal evolution. You are capable of this path because you possess the strength to navigate it, guided by an inner knowing. So keep moving forward. Embrace your unique path. Trust your direction. Tune out external opinions and remain dedicated to your growth. Understand that those discussing your path, wondering about your methods, and searching for non-existent secrets will likely continue doing so. Their confusion will persist as they look for answers in the wrong places. Meanwhile, you will continue to evolve, expand, and step fully into your potential. They won't grasp it, remaining steps behind. And that is completely fine. It is not your responsibility to explain your journey or shrink your experiences to make them comfortable. Your sole focus is to live authentically, push forward, and let them process their own confusion. People will continue to wonder as you forge ahead. Your story is far from over, because your growth is an ongoing process. The person you are becoming is only the foundation for what comes next. Those trying to figure you out now will only be more baffled later, because you won't stop evolving or settle for less. You will keep rising, and they will keep wondering. That is exactly as it should be. You navigated severe hardships and gained something far more valuable than external approval. You reclaimed your authentic self. You now know you can handle any challenge, find your way forward, and stand confidently on your own. That strength is what leaves others speechless. It is what fuels their curiosity. They will never fully decode it, because real personal transformation cannot be explained. It can only be observed. So let them wonder while you keep progressing. Continue pursuing what brings you life, trusting your internal compass, and standing firm in who you are. Stay true to the path you've built. Everyone can see the results now. Wishing you the best. Take good care.